Welcome, Impactful Parents. It's time for the Impactful Parenting Podcast, where I give you parenting tips and resources to make you a more impactful parent to your school-age child. I am your host, Christina Campos. Welcome, Impactful Parents. Today we're going to be talking about 5 things that you should know before going into the foster adoption process. Hello, my name is Christina Campos. I'm founder of The Impactful Parent, and I help parents of school-age children turn their chaos into connection with their adolescent. I'm a mom of 4 kids, a teacher that has taught every grade from preschool through high school, and today I help moms and dads like yourself to navigate that exhausting, confusing, frustrating, and rewarding world of parenting. So welcome to The Impactful Parent. Let me introduce you to my co-host and best friend, Melissa Clark. Melissa is a mom of 3 and has been a teacher, a social worker, and a therapist. But Melissa found her true calling with Gestalt coaching. Today, Melissa helps people heal past wounds and step into their best self with the Gestalt method of therapy. And today's Impactful Parent episode is all about the foster to adopt process. If you are a parent thinking about adoption at all, then this episode is for you, as we're going to be talking about this particular option and some of the challenges and maybe rewards that come with it. Welcome to this episode of The Impactful Parent. I'm glad you're here. Now, today we have a very special guest. His name is Lane Igoudin. Lane Igoudin is a writer, an English professor, but most importantly, he is a proud dad of 2 kids, whom him and his husband, Jonathan, adopted from the foster system in Los Angeles, California. He's written a lot about adoptive parenting and fatherhood for the websites like adoption.com and Family Equality, and has just published a memoir about the experience adopting his kids from the foster system called A Family Maybe. I'm happy to interview Lane today, so parents who are thinking about embarking into the foster to adopt system can get 5 things that Lane wished that he knew before going into this process. So I'm excited that he's here. Thank you so much. Well, hello, everybody. How are you guys all doing this morning?
We're doing great.
Good, Christine.
Yay. Well, I want to start off, Lane. I'm excited to get into this topic with you. Congratulations on your book, first of all. And
Thank you.
I want to go right into these 5 things that you wish that you knew when you had gotten into this process. So in hindsight, what do you wish that you knew? Can you give us our number 1?
When you go into the public adoption system, which is a very, very complex process with multiple parties involved, in the life of the child's birth parents, social workers, court-appointed attorneys, the judge. So there are many people involved in the process, and you need to expect the unexpected. That's what I usually tell my friends who are interested in adopting or would like to follow our lead is expect the unexpected. You need to learn about the system. You need to arm yourself with resources, and because each party that is part of this process has its own needs, and so a lot of uncertainties may come up along the way. A lot of unexpected issues may come up along the way, and you'll need to learn to deal with it.
So what I hear you saying is that there's something that's always going to come up. That's how life is, right? And you know what? Honestly, that is how parenting is. So I feel like that prepares you for parenting because something is always unexpected coming up. But to be flexible, because you're going to have to deal with that. So being flexible and having that mindset as you're going into this process is going to be really helpful.
Right, right.
What's your second?
My second tip would be to know your limits. To know your limits when you choose a child and to stick to them. And the very phrase to choose a child sounds a little strange. What does it mean to choose a child? Well, when you go into the foster adoptive process, unlike natural birth, you can actually set up the parameters for the child or the children that you'd like to bring into your home. You can select the age, gender, sibling number, and also the extent of known medical or psychological conditions. Some parents might feel that they're capable of raising a set of 3 or 4 or 5 kids right off the bat. And others might know that given their circumstances, they can only accommodate 1. So some are waiting for a baby, others would like might want an elementary school kid, or somebody might, bless their heart, take in a teenager. And so people might be telling you things, especially social workers, oh, your house is perfect for, and you'll be great parents for, but really only you know who what kind of child or children you would like to have in your home, in your family. So listen to yourself and listen to that to your inner voice, okay? Like in our case, for example, and I know we're getting a little bit into our life story, but Jonathan and I wanted to adopt a sibling set of two because that's what we felt we were prepared for. We preferably girls, because of just our life histories. I helped to raise my younger sister, so that was something I was familiar with, and we were looking for kids under the age of 5. And we were open to certain medical conditions, and so all of that went into the file. That's what we put into it. But from the time we got certified all the way until we had our placement, we were receiving calls about all kinds of matches, which had which did not really overlap with what we're looking for, or were quite far out of it, right? So we kept saying no. We kept saying no until we felt that that was the right match, and we went into it. So know your limits and stick to them.
All right. What is your next tip that you have for us?
What I've learned is that you need to resist projecting your expectations on that child. You need to build on their own natural strengths. Because we come into parenting with all kinds of expectations, which come from our background, from our life experience. We want a child to be a certain person, have certain character, but the only person we really know is ourselves, and we know what works for us. It doesn't necessarily mean it will work for the child, right? And so, for example, if you're an athlete, you expect your child to grow up an athlete just like you. Or if you're like a great reader or an eloquent writer, you expect your child to grow up with those skills, right? But you need to let go of those preconceptions, especially when it comes to an adopted child. Because, if you think there's something in, biologically, running in your family, like your mom is great with math and you're great with math, then you really don't know what to expect in that sense from an adopted child. So you really need to focus on what they are good at. Okay. So what are they good at? What are they naturally drawn to? What experiences will make them feel good about themselves and build their own unique identity. So don't project your expectations onto the child. Build on their strengths. You know, I can give you an example from our family. I mean, I've never been an athlete. I really admire people who have those abilities, but I've never been I think the only sport I've ever done was like figure skating for 2 years, and that was it. Right? I wasn't good at it, by the way. So I've never been an athlete, but I noticed that our older daughter, when she was about 3 or 4, started to show this really kind of unusual upper body strength when like she would move the furniture around all by herself, right? Or like when we would wash her baby sister in a baby bathtub, she would at the end she had a lot of fun just coming over, taking up the side of the tub with one hand and upending it, like so she pouring all the water out into the tub. And it was like, oh my God, she can do that. She can, like 3, 4 year old, she can do that. So I figured that, noticed there was a lot of strength there. So what I did is I enrolled her in swimming lessons and then a year later into water polo. And so our daughter played water polo for 7 years and she was very, very good. She was very good. And that sport gave her great exercise, healthy self-body image, which is very important, especially for the girls, and improve her social skills because she was on the team. So, but altogether, it gave her a sense that she had something going on in her life outside of school, which was important and also very rewarding. But but I had never expected my child to be an athlete, and there we go. Here, here we got one.
I love
So
that suggestion. And it's so great because it's a great parenting tip for everybody. It doesn't matter if you have your own children or adopted children. Now, more important for adopted children, because that, but to let go of those preconceived notions, to let go of all those expectations that you thought parenting was going to be like, because I'm telling you, we all have them in our brain, every single one of us, and it never turns out the way we think it's going to be. And to really search for those strengths and then build that up in your child. I mean, that is really, really good parenting stuff. That it makes that self-confidence and it gives them something to strive for outside of the home, outside of a screen, it's creating hobbies. It's so many good things there. I love it. What is your suggestion for number 4?
To respect your own needs, your own authentic needs while parenting, Don't put them off. Don't put them off. You need to enjoy being yourself, not just being a parent, but also being yourself and enjoy being that now, right? So when you're taking care of another human being 24/7, it's easy to become frustrated and disappointed because your own needs are not being met. Like, when you become a parent, your life changes. It changes drastically. And things that matter to you from before the kids' era, you have to kind of put them aside, put them on the back burner, and just kind of leave them there, right? And it's all because the child's needs now are more important than your own. And that's all understandable. But what I've learned is just that providing a vibrant and fulfilling and fully rewarding life for your child doesn't have to exactly come at the expense of the erasure of your own. You can continue to focus, albeit maybe on a much smaller scale, right? On your own interests, like writing, meditation, seeing friends, building that ship model, whatever it is that reminds you that you are still you. And the key to that is scheduling. Not just sort of dreaming about, oh, they'd be so nice to. No, just clear up something in your schedule and put it in. Your child may end up having maybe one less ballet practice or soccer practice a week, but it's not the end of the world. But what it will do is it'll open up an extra couple of hours for you, for yourself. It will give you the time to sort of to come in touch with your own authenticity and come back to being a parent, feeling more refreshed and strengthened, really.
That's such a good one. And I think that goes for all parents of if our cups are run dry and completely empty, then we don't have a whole lot to give to others. But if we can take care of ourselves, then our cups can overflow. And that's when we can be better parents. So I love that one. I really agree with that one.
One other very important takeaway from our experience is just from being a parent, and it's not just being an adoptive parent, but I'm sure it's important in every family, is to take care of your partner because the family begins and ends with you and them, right? So the nucleus, the center of the family is not, when you are partnered, is not you and your child so much as you and your partner. That's where it began, and that's where it should be when they go to college, when your child goes to college, it reaches adulthood. So no matter what a parenting will push you through, and of course, every day is the new day, that when it comes to parenting children, but you must do all you can to stay together. And I've seen families split by the uncertainties, by the challenges, by the difficulties, honestly, of the adoption process. I've seen power struggles over parenting strategies. I've seen kids dividing parents. I've seen parents belittling and undermining each other. Just it may happen, but in the end, so what do you do? What do you do? Keep an eye on your partner. Love them more. Give them more. Give them more. Never take them for granted. Never take them for granted. So keep an eye on their needs. Love them more. Give them more. Never take them for granted. And so that's what worked. And from our experience, I mean, this is just an example, but kind of what worked for us is that we took separate vacations, okay? And some people kind of raised their eyebrows, but you know what? It really worked because when what we would do is like roughly once a year, maybe sometimes once once every couple of years, but we would take short trips on our own. not just him and me, it's just me by myself or him by himself, right? So my partner will go see his family, or friends out of town, travel to New York, to Central Valley, and places like that. In my case, I would when I would go to a conference, I'd usually stay for a few more days, just kind of just to chill afterwards, just have some me time for several days before I return home. Or sometimes I'll go on a hiking trip, with a hiking group to Arizona, to Hawaii, other places. So we would always talk about each trip before it happens. We'll try to schedule and plan around it, so as to minimize the impact on the other partner. Okay. So, but let me tell you, it was worth it. You come back from this time alone, from kind of like from your trip, or recharged and ready to jump back into the parenting, back to shoulder the responsibilities. And also during that time away, when you're just on your own, it begins to clarify the picture of where you are in your family, where your family is, what's really going on in your life, and it helps you to prioritize things moving forward.
I think this one is so important for all parents, and it's really a lot more difficult than it sounds to do. I think this is much more difficult to implement than it actually sounds. Like we're making it sound so easy, but when you're in the thick of it and you're a parent and you're exhausted and you're tired and you feel like you're putting in all of the work, we tend to get into this like rut of, oh, I need a break. I need a break. And you start doing a lot of I language. I'm doing this for everybody. Oh God, I need to sleep. I need to, exercise. And what you're saying is focus on your partner, make sure that they're well taken care of. And
Right.
really, by allowing someone else, your partner, to go and rest, you will get more rest because it'll start to reciprocate, and that time alone that you're talking about. And for
Mhm.
some parents who don't like to be alone, I get it. But uh that time alone for a lot of us who do need it to recharge is amazing. That time that you need for yourself to do whatever it is that you might need to do, whether it's exercise, go spend time with friends, just go and sleep, or just to be an adult, like find yourself again, because we can lose ourselves in parenting so easily that you forget who you were before you were even a parent. Like, oh, I used to play tennis. And now I don't anymore because I'm so busy parenting. You start to lose those little parts of yourself that you used to love. So that time alone is just essential. I love this suggestion. It's really great. So let's get an overview. We have 5 tips that are going to help parents that they need to know these 5 things before they go into this process. All right, let's go through them real quick. Number 1.
Okay, number one is expect the unexpected. Learn about the system and arm yourself with resources.
Number 2.
Know your limits in choosing a child and stick to them.
Number 3.
Resist projecting your expectations on your child. Build on their natural strengths.
Number 4.
Respect your own needs while parenting. Enjoy being yourself now.
And number 5.
Remember to take care of your partner. The nucleus of your family is the two of you.
All right, Lane. So I'm sure some families want children that are taken into foster care and adopted from there to reunite with their birth families. How does this affect those families and the kiddos that are in foster care?
Okay, well, the priority in the foster, I would say in the child welfare system, is to keep the families together. And I fully support that. The reunification of families, when the children are taken out of the family for whatever reason there is. So the idea that we want to bring the family back together, I think it's essential. And if the county goes in to remove a child from a family, there's usually a reason. There's basically it's called a two-pronged approach, which is there are two tracks. The first track is to send the child back to the family, which is called reunification. And the other one is what's called concurrent planning. What will happen if the reunification is not possible? And there, the options are long-term foster placement, maybe placement with a distant relative, and or adoption. So adoption is always sort of like number two when it comes to foster adoptive situations. So in our case, the biological mother of our children um, was too young, was too young. It's very unfortunate, I think, in the larger scale of things that she had to have a child as early as she did, and then another one later on because our kids are sisters. But basically, at that time, she was struggling with a lot of her own life issues, and she was not able to live independently on her own either, never mind taking care of a child. So we went in. So I mean, what I saw, the transformation that I saw was more like in myself, in my attitude towards her, in that basically from, oh yeah, we'll just, we can, from, we can do a lot of things to help her, and then she can become a functioning parent, and she can take the child in or both children in and become, but basically the longer it went on, week after week, month after month, year after year, the more it became clear that the issues that she was dealing with were not being resolved. And so I felt that the focus of the process should really been on knowing who the mother is and how deep her issues are. Should not have been so much on the mother as on the children. As all of you parents know, that especially in the life of the small child, a day is like a week and a week is like a month, and so when that time is being spent with a person who's not adequate to provide those to provide you with the support that you need, or you're being bounced from one foster home to another, attachments, creating attachments, then they're being disrupted, creating disrupted. I mean, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. And so I think the center of the process should really be the child, not the ownership rights of the natural families, but the child themselves. And so I felt that was lacking. That was lacking because in our situation, the judge that was presiding over our kids' case was very, very lenient and very supportive towards the mother. And I thought this was at the expense of the children.
Yeah, and I think one of the scariest things about the foster to adopt process is falling in love with a child and having it leave you, having it go back to the original family or mother, and knowing that that mother or family cannot take care of the child as good as you could have. So I think that's really difficult when you're a foster to adopt parent, is that fear is just, oh, it's always just percolating until the adoption process is over. Because the courts they favor the child going back to the birth family.
Right. And Christina, you put your finger on it, because to you, once you take a child in, you bond with a child. You bond with the child as if it's your own natural child. And for example, our younger daughter was a newborn. She came straight from the hospital into our house, into our home, and on my partner's chest, where she spent the next, I would say, a year and a half. She was always right here in the nook of his arm. And so like you bond to the child, and then the very thought that the child you might lose this child. And then, with a horror, you see with the situation that they might be lost to. Um, it is emotionally extremely disturbing, and like in our case, it can go on for a long time.
So the foster adopt process is just an emotional roller coaster, to say the very least. And because you're going through so much, and you're bonding to this child, and the possibility that the child could go back to the original family, and all those things, including just helping the child who has special needs, whether it's social, emotional, or physical, you're going to be going through a lot as a foster adopt parent. So do you have any recommendations for how parents can deal with this emotional roller coaster that they may embark on?
I have several. I think first of all, you need to start with right there in your family with your partner. If you're not, I mean, if you're raising the child alone, I mean, I understand things are different, but if you have a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever you're partnering with and raising the child, um, be open, be open with them about how you feel and listen and ask them because sometimes, some people sort of clam up and they just hold inside. Ask them, so how do you feel about this? I notice you haven't been sleeping lately, or so talk to them. So talk to them and be supportive of each other. If there are, and then think about the circles that surround you. Like, is there somebody in your family, your father, mother, brother, sister, cousin, who you can talk to and who will listen and at least be, empathetic to what you're going through. Talk to other adoptive parents. We belong to a club of gay fathers called the Poplar Club here in Los Angeles, and there are many. At the time we were in the process, we were talking about more like early to mid 2000s. That was the main sort of route that gay men went in order to raise a family, was going through foster adoption. So there are a lot of us, and talking to them, commiserating, learning the resources, getting some tips. That was also very helpful. And I would also say that, don't shy away from therapy. If therapy is available to you, you might need it, or you might even need some medications to help you through that process.
I'm
I do
glad you're
mention that in
mentioning
my
all.
book. In my book, I at some point I had to go on Paxil in order to make it from day to day, from court date to court date. And I even quipped about it that, county should sell the county should sell should send Paxil along with the foster payments.
I love that you're being so candid and honest with that because that's what these
Yeah,
parents need. They need to know that it's not always going to be a great, easy process. In fact, the chances of the foster to adopt process to be easy is very low. But it's so rewarding, and these kids need a home. And if you are a parent who is willing to sacrifice a little bit of that part of you to help a child, it's going to be so rewarding and so great for everybody in the end. But to talk candidly, like not sugarcoating how it really is, and that I hear you saying mostly talk about this, talk to them, get friends, talk to
right,
counselor, talk
right.
to just talk about it because you can't keep those feelings in. You
Side, right.
need to get those feelings out so that you're not holding them inside and you're not going to explode. You will not be the best self. You will not be the best parent you could be unless you can balance some of those emotions. So having that armor ready to go before you even get into the process, like having that support group ready on hold, having that friend you can talk to, even just emotionally, just preparing for it, knowing that, okay, once a month you get a day off all to yourself, like you were talking about earlier with your partner, having those plans and actions before you start this process so that you can take on those stresses, I think is so important. You don't want to deal with them as they come. You want to get ready to deal with them beforehand, before they even step into the door.
Right. And Christina, I don't want to mislead your listeners into thinking that every foster adoption is a nightmare. No, no. I mean, it can range from, like, we have friends who adopted 4 kids, one after another, and every single adoption case was easy. And with one of them, from the placement to the signing of adoption decree was 8 months, which is unheard of.
That's
Right.
very
But
fast.
yeah, and like all 4 of them were manageable and relatively, compared to our case, were really kind of painless. We also know some situations which were worse than ours, believe it or not. So it ranges, but that's why I'm going back to the idea of expecting the unexpected, the unpredictability of the process. That basically things may work out very well for you, and that's how it should be, or that's how it could be, or things may get challenging, and that's exactly when you need to create that sort of your support network around you.
Now I want to get into a family maybe. This is your book, and it talks all about your experience. Can you tell me a little synopsis, just like what's the book about? What can readers find inside?
Well, the full title of my book is A Family Maybe, Two Dads, Two Babies, and the Court Cases That Brought Us Together. And so it's in a pretty much chronological order with some flashbacks going back a little bit about our backgrounds. I retell the story of the double adoption of our kids. The story begins, the very first chapter, and that's the one I'm willing to share with your readers, is the chapter which depicts the day, which incidentally was the day called was 666, June 6, 2006.
Well, that's quite a coincidence.
Yeah, it was a very interesting coincidence when the social worker was bringing a baby to our house, straight from a maternity ward. And so I called the chapter the curbside delivery because that's exactly what it was. She was delivered at the curbside. So the van pulled up. The social worker came out. She didn't go into the house. I think there might have been some liability issues. I don't know. She just wanted to hand over the child as quickly as possible. And then she looked at her watch, said, "Oh, I need to beat the traffic." And then she was gone. This was our birth. Okay. So, and then Jonathan brought this cute, tiny little newborn into our house. And then he handed over to me. And then he picked up the keys and headed out to the daycare to pick up her older sister. And that's when the reader learns that this is not just one baby, there are actually two children involved. The book introduces, I think, the reader to the foster adoption process through the eyes of myself, the adoptive parent. This is what it's like to go through the system, especially when things go not so well, shall we say, or they go wrong. And also how you learn along the way to meet these challenges, and maybe some of the things that I learned, or it would be great to pass on to other parents. I wish I'd known them myself. But at the end, the children stayed with us, and we were able to adopt them and raise them, and they're now 17 and 19. They're wonderful young ladies.
Would you say that a family maybe is for all foster to adopt parents, or do you think it really plays more specifically to the LGBTQ adoption?
No. The LGBTQ side of that was, I think, I mean, it's there, and I would say at the time I would say in the first generation of out gay families, kind of just going into process with our, and the system was open to us for the first time ever. And that aspect is important, but ultimately we're just family like any other in the street, raising small kids. And I think that, well, the book is, first of all, I think it's a great human story, human interest story. It's also very much an LA story because so much of what's happening here is rooted in what we're living in. There's some Spanish in it because, which there's some Russian, Spanish, it's a very sort of multicultural mix. I don't think I mentioned this, but my partner is African American. I'm Russian Jewish. Our kids are Hispanic and some, and one of them is multiracial too. So there's so much going on into it. And so how do you raise a family so multicultural, and I would say, multi-religious, in our case. So it's I think it's more than anything, it's a family building story.
I love that this is such a unique family that you have. It's two dads. I love
Right.
that it's very interfaith,
Yes.
with both of you. I love that it's very multicultural with all of you, every single one of you. Um, where if people are resonating with you and they want to read this book, where can they find the book? And if they want to reach out to you and ask you anything personal, or are you going to offer any help to anyone? How would they be able to get a hold of you?
Well, to answer your question about the book is available on Amazon, Bookshop, and Barnes and Noble. As far as contacting me, you can look up my website, which is laneigudin.com, LANEIGOUDIN.com. Or you can also email me, or laneigudin@gmail.com, or you can look me up on Instagram or Facebook. I'm pretty active on both, so I'd love to hear from. I love hearing from my readers and having these conversations, continuing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you. I hope that parents who are considering this process can lean forward with some and lean in with some of these suggestions that you made, because they're really good ones. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Christina. It was such a pleasure to be here.
And now for some Impactful Parent announcements. Don't forget the Impactful Parent special parent education event that happens every week. And this week, our topic is about cell phone, screen time, and video game addiction. So if this topic interests you, join me live on Zoom either Sunday evening or Wednesday at lunch. You could register with the link below. Thank you for joining us today. Remember that this episode is just a small part of the Impactful Parent community. We also offer online courses, parent support groups, coaching services, and the Impactful Parent app. Go to theimpactfulparent.com to find out more. To find out more about Melissa's services, go to fireandrainscoaching.com. Become a more impactful parent and download the Impactful Parent app. The Impactful Parent app is free, so you can carry help, tips, and parenting resources right in your pocket. So discover new techniques to make your parenting more effective and get parenting resources that will make your life easier. Download the app today. You got nothing to lose since it's a free download. So go to theimpactfulparent.com or your phone's app store, search for Impactful Parent, and I'll be there. So discover how you can step up your parenting game and become a more impactful parent. But until next time, you got this. I'm just here to help. Thank you for listening today. Remember to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. And don't forget, the Impactful Parenting Podcast is an extension of the Impactful Parent community. Go to the Impactful Parent website and download the free Impactful Parent app so you don't miss a parenting tip that can help you and your family. Thanks for listening today. So go to theimpactfulparent.com and see you next episode.